Hello and welcome to Rauta's opinion video, or more like random pondering, random musing about serial killers and serial killer lyrics. Now, why this came to me, what would be a puzzling question, but the answer is really easy. Last week I finished watching two different serial killer documentary series, one from HBO Nordic, here in Nordic countries, and one from Netflix. Curiously enough, they were both about Californian killers. One about Golden State Killer, aka East Area Rapist, aka Original Night Stalker. And the other one was about Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez. Now, I already planned to do both of these kind of back to back. So I knew already when I was finished with I'll Be Gone in the Dark, that is the Original Night Stalker documentary, that I would be watching this Richard Ramirez, aka Night Stalker documentary right after. Why so? Well, I'm just one of those persons who are fascinated with, true crime stuff. Serial killers, spree killers, and all that stuff. But I don't know, there's something very special about serial killers, like what goes in their mind, what's their motive, how they get caught, how they didn't get caught in the beginning, and all that stuff. And their brutality, the violence, and everything there has been going on is always very fascinating. Like why they did it, decide to act in certain ways, and what kept them going, and every details, from policy investigations to their actually mindset of what is going on, about the audience, and so forth. So I was watching these documentaries back to back, which led me back to the question of why some death metal bands, keep doing serial killer lyrics and works about murder, violence, and so forth. Now, throughout the years, I've been noticing how so many death metal bands have gotten a little bit of, I don't know which way to put it, but let's say negative feedback about, hey, this is so lame, you're singing about, serial killers. I mean, can't you just read the news or, read a book or watch a documentary or all that stuff? Like, isn't it kind of lame, Like, hey, everybody knows how killing is done and blah, blah, blah. And then people say, like, hey, there's so many much more philosophical topics you could be talking about in lyrics. You don't have to sing about power metal ways, about dragons and swords and knights and all that stuff. You don't have to sing about death metal's violence and serial killer stuff. You could go for, I don't know, about philosophical topics and obscure topics, esoteric topics, and and usually this is coming from people who praise black metal lyrics. Like death metal is so lame because it's all about that. Thrash metal is too much about society and world problems and blah blah blah. Heavy metal is about just putting baby oil on yourself or driving with a motorcycle or some other crap, drinking booze and whatever. So all that kind of certain ways. I get you. I get why it's making sense to some people. But then again, at the same time, I'm like totally gonna disagree with that. Okay, let's be grand. I mean, let's be honest about it. So many lyrics are actually bad, no matter what the genre is. But writing about serial killers, these real life events and happenings, could be actually much more, fascinating. I mean, this is kind of my defending speech about the topic, because when I was watching these documentaries, I was really hooked to all these details about murder. These places where these horrible events took place, like why was this grandma being murdered with some blunt weapon? Why was this girl being raped and then beaten to death? It's something really, really horrible that I wouldn't hope to anybody. But it still, kind of makes us very, very much addicted to that stuff. I mean, if you are not too sensitive to, not to watch those documentaries or movies in the first place. So there's something which kind of leads us to the darker side. And I'm not talking about fictional series like Dexter, where the actual serial killer is the good guy, well, killing other criminals, but still. I mean, that's the kind of easier side of serial killers. You kind of make it to a level of entertainment, kind of showing, okay, these vigilant moments, these vigilant acts It's rightful. These people killed some innocent ones, so this bad guy can kill this one, and it's all good. Balance achieved, justice served, and all that stuff. But it's fictional. You kind of figure out, yeah, in a perfect world, these things wouldn't really take place, and in case there is some horrible murder and he gets killed, well, it's justice being served. But it's fictional. Once you just shut the TV, that kind of disappears. It didn't really exist except in people's mind. The directors, actors, and obviously the scriptwriter. But when we're talking about those real events, those real murders and killings and other unspeakable acts, those don't disappear. Those people who the murderer killed, they are still dead. And their closest ones will be still mourning for the losses, and still reading the newspaper like, okay, this happened only a few blocks away. It's gonna make me feeling rather uneasy, even if it happened some 10 years ago. I mean, there are people like murderers, like the Zodiac of them all, who didn't get caught. Could he come back? Or he, she, who knows, whatever. No, the point aside is, even if we say that sometimes those, fictional lyrics or philosophical lyrics might be very interesting because you might reflect your own mindset very easy, they're also quite much easier. It's easier to, read about some summoning of the demons or about some majestic powers coming from the cosmic levels and, making your body and mind whole. It can be quite consolidating versus that you actually read about this monster of a human being and then figuring out, yeah, it's not really fiction. This guy actually ate other people after raping and killing them and, maybe torturing them. So it can be actually quite different from, these more escapist kind of stuff. I mean, if you read a horrible novel, be it about monsters in the dark and that kind of stuff, at least it's fiction. You're gonna sleep well even if you have a nightmare here and there because it was so horrifying. But when you go for the real monsters, the ones that are the predator types, going for defenseless children or elderly people or women and use their violence and all that, it becomes a whole different deal. Writing a piece of lyrics about that can be at the same time a little bit unnerving, as it can be quite much a deal or a way to deal with it, But I mean, I felt like once again when I was watching these documentaries that it kind of makes sense, and it's kind of in certain ways it's probably the baddest, in the sense of like worst shit you're gonna read about, the kind of a lyrics, but more about like, I don't know what would be actually worse than that, in the sense of what's more horrifying and all. Because at the same time you're enlightening people about what's going on, but at the same time you're also telling a story, making it into music, which is once again a way to deal with some nasty shit. As much as it a way to deal with the good stuff. But I mean, it doesn't matter if you're having your, love problems or as you're trying to escape your reality through some art and entertainment. Sometimes, just reading and getting the feel through art, the bad stuff, it can alleviate the pain and in so many ways. I don't know. For me, it seems like disrespecting, say, some kind of death metal lyrics just because it's all about power and murder and violence. I mean, it makes no really sense. Sometimes it can lead you to more interesting stories. Sometimes it can lead to learn a few facts about life, the darker side of it. And sometimes it's just fiction. So that's all. My opinion. Those lyrics are good. And I can really actually recommend watching those two documentary series. The Night Stalker on Netflix and I'll Be Gone in the Dark on HBO. That's it. Don't get yourself too deep in that so it don't fuck your mind. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.